Howdy, kids. How's it going? Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to week 11. Doing some retweeting of things here briefly. Everyone, welcome aboard. Hope everyone's having a great week 11 so far. Certainly better than some of the other people that will be trying to get into our lineups. Alvin Kamara's out. Nick Chubb's back. Good news. Elijah Mitchell won't play this week. That's bad news. Kyler Murray, game time decision. Amari Cooper ruled out. Good morning, Martin. How are you? Ben Roethlisberger set to play. Cam Newton gets the start. Saquon Barkley heading back. No shortages of issues. And look, it's week 11. Only two teams on bye, the Rams and Buccaneers. So that helps us out a little bit and gives us a little bit of leeway to deal with the attrition because there's a ton. So let's dive in. I see the questions are already coming in. Good morning, everybody. Jump on in with your questions, and I'll get to everybody as I can. And hopefully we can talk through some of your issues in particular. Any thoughts on Camaron Ridley long-term? That says JR1616. Yes. And Ridley in particular, no idea. I've talked to people who cover that team on a daily basis. D. Orlando Ledbetter from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Nobody seems to have any idea. They didn't, obviously it's a sensitive issue. Nobody's pressing anybody on it. The NFL has begun to take mental health issues as seriously as they take physical health issues, and nobody's going to push him back. He has to miss. He's missed what I think has another game to miss. I'm counting back. He's on the non-football injury list. I believe he's eligible to return next week. I don't know that means he will. We have no idea the timetable. Kamara, the people who cover the team daily, Mike Triplett from ESPN, Nick Underhill from New Orleans Football, all seem to believe that it's not a long-term issue. There was some thought that he could get back this week. He was on the practice field Wednesday, couldn't keep it going. It's an MCL issue, and it doesn't seem to be something they're viewing as a long-term issue. So I would say he'll be fine. Thank you, Ivan. Hello to you. Jesse Cedillo wants to know, is CEH off IR? And if he plays, should he drop Daryl Williams for Jeff Wilson? CEH could come off today, right? But he hasn't yet. As of now, Andy Reid's kind of, late last week put it out there that it was likely he would return, but kind of basically said he was well on track. Kind of dialed that language back early this week, and then yesterday said he's looked great in practice. It's been very cryptic. Eric Bieniemy also said he's looked great. So my expectation is that'll happen. Here's what you need to do. Go to the footballdiehards.com website, Jesse, where I will have that information as soon as it happens. It may happen while we're chatting here. I'll be watching for my notifications as we go along. But entirely possible. Same with Miles Sanders. He is eligible to return as well. And so, by 4 p.m. Eastern time is when it has to happen. So watch the footballdiehards.com website, and I'll have that information as soon as it happens. If he is back, it's hard to play Daryl Williams at that point, and I wouldn't mind pivoting to Jeff Wilson if it's a one-week thing. Elijah Mitchell obviously has the coming off finger surgery, listed as doubtful. Don't expect him to play. Sounds like he could be back fairly quickly. There was some hope that he would be back this weekend, but maybe the procedure was a little more invasive or intensive than the team expected. So that'll have to play out. But I do think Wilson is a commodity to invest in over the course of the rest of the season. But Williams may well be too. I think both those guys will have a role. That's the problem, in all these situations, right? It's not ideal because unless someone's hurt, no one's going to have a full role, right? So I see people on Twitter asking if there's a link. If you're out there, let me see if I can help this person out and tell him, yes, there is a link. Yes. People struggle with this a little bit. Okay, so let's get back into questions. Depression. Okay, so Ed Gallagher says Hawkinson has him scared to death to play this week. Last week's goose egg, new play caller with run focus, bad weather again, et cetera, and a different quarterback. Maybe that's a good thing. Jared Goff isn't going to play, right? Don't know a lot about Tim Boyle, except he has a bigger arm. So, if you have options, I think Conklin and Troutman are both reasonable options. Troutman's, I think it's at least 6 targets a week for the last 3 weeks. Seems to be coming on a little bit, and it's a great matchup for tight ends against the Eagles this week. So I'd be fine doing that. like, I'm not dialing back on Hawkinson too much. It's been a little hit or miss. I think last week was an aberration. There was just no offense. Nobody wanted to win that game. And so, I'm fine shifting away given the uncertainty at quarterback and just the overall nature of the offense. But there have been weeks where he's super heavily targeted, and I'm chasing volume in most cases. So that being the case, Conklin and Troutman are getting enough volume to keep me happy. I'd probably go Troutman in this case. Brian Baker wants a desperation wide receiver, Galladay or Robbie Anderson in PPR. I'd probably go Galladay. Generally speaking, teams need to play keep up with Tampa. Teams not named Washington, apparently, or New Orleans. Need to play keep up with Tampa Bay, and their secondary can be had. It's a little harder to run against them, although that's gotten easier in recent weeks too. But I'm probably going to give Galladay a shot. Look, Anderson got the touchdown last week, and maybe Cam Newton changes his fortunes, right? Maybe that's what he needed was a big shift at quarterback to make things better. I'm enthusiastic about Cam Newton this week, just given the matchup. So I wouldn't talk you out of Anderson. I'd probably still lean Galladay in this case. Jesse needs 2, Pittman, Higgins, or Renfro. I'm probably playing the first 2. Again, not against Renfro. He is the best wideout or the most fantasy-friendly wideout on the Raiders offense. And I do like Derek Carr this week. So I'm playing Pittman has a tougher matchup, but he's been reasonably well. I guess it hasn't been super high end. It's about 6 targets a week. So I'm probably still playing that. Higgins for sure. Higgins is the easy one here. Higgins is on a bit of a roll, has been heavily targeted, needs a little more end zone look, but he's been getting a fair amount. I think the touchdowns will come at some point for him. And Burrow, by the way, if you head for the footballdiehards.com website where I apply my trade, is a pretty good play. Like 20 touchdowns over the first, 8 games. And like all multiple touchdown games, like 4 2-touchdown games, 4 3-touchdown games. It's been fantastic, right? So, and Higgins benefits from that. I'm going Pittman. Honestly, if you were looking for a safer floor, maybe it's Renfro. I wouldn't talk you out of him. PPR flex, J.D. McKissick or Zach Pascal. J.D. McKissick for me. And just hope the game script kind of forces their hand a little bit at some point, right? It was surprising a little bit to me to see Gibson come back so hard, but maybe he can keep that role going, and that's going to make Pittman a struggle. One of the things to watch though is if the red see what I almost did there. The football team's playing from behind, you're going to see more McKissick. If they're ahead, like they were against Tampa, I mean, you're going to see ideally in their mind you're going to see a lot of Gibson, right? Because they're going to be nursing the clock. So McKissick is a guy on the field for what they call their turbo offense, which is basically, their hurry up offense. And so he's on the field more when that happens. So root for them to be playing from behind in this one and play McKissick. Pascal is just hard for me to play, and it's a tough matchup. Hi, Dominic. Cousins or Jimmy G? I'm probably going Cousins on this one. I realize it's not like the ideal matchup it's not a horrible matchup. Yeah, look, 2 things here, right? Cousins has been super, for the most part. I mean, dating back to last year has been really good. A lot of, multiple TD games, etc. Jimmy Garoppolo has been pretty good in recent weeks. And if the thing that concerned you was Trey Lance coming in and cutting into his workload, kind of that's not so scary anymore. So I get it. It's a great matchup for him as well. I'm still going to go Cousins in this one. I don't think it's an especially daunting matchup for him. And play the talent at wide receiver there. Get it. Deebo Samuel's playing well. George Kittle's playing well. So thinking San Francisco is going back to that 2019 approach that we saw against the Rams is not unreasonable. Even if there is no Elijah Mitchell, Jeffrey Wilson can get the job done. Assuming CEH is activated, do I go Daryl Williams or Devante Smith? I go Devante Smith. And I know, Marshawn Lattimore is scary as well. Right. But I mean, it's been kind of hit or miss. He hasn't been as super, his ongoingly high end. Right. It's been good some weeks and not as good other weeks. So I take my chances. Smith in the last 2 games has really come on strong. He's played at wide receiver 1 levels, and I'll take some of that. Williams, love him. And I do think there's some room for him this week, even if CEH comes back, and they may slow roll CEH. Also, remember CEH was really good before he got hurt, right? He was on a serious roll. So I think they'd like to get him back up to that speed and everything, but it might take him a little while. So I think Williams is still viable this week, but is he high end? I'm not so sure. Hi, Andrea. Need 2, says Andrea. Terry McLaurin, Corey Davis, Christian Kirk, Michael Gallup, PPR. So McLaurin, yes. I'd probably play Davis and hope for the best with Joe Flacco. I wouldn't talk you out of Michael Gallup, though. With Amari Cooper out, in case y'all didn't hear, Amari Cooper is going to miss this game and probably the Thanksgiving game, right? Tested positive for COVID, so that's an issue. Coffee. It's fantastic. You guys should try that. Let's see. Dusty. Hey, Dusty. How you doing, man? 2 flex spots. Ingram, Claypool, Beasley, and Singletary. I assume Ingram, Claypool's are the go-tos. Ingram for sure, right? With no Alvin Kamara, the workload's going to be there, regardless of the matchup. I mean, I'm chasing volume. I think, I don't know that Claypool gets the volume, but I don't know that Beasley or Singletary do either. It's kind of been hit or miss with Beasley, right? It's either a Beasley week or a Emmanuel Sanders week. It seems like beyond, the guys. And so I probably go Claypool with you. Devin Singletary will be in the conversation as well for me, but I'll confirm with you. A PPR flex, Deontay Johnson or Jeff Wilson. If there is no Elijah Mitchell, which I would say is like 99% certain there won't be, I play Wilson. The Jaguars are not good, but they're not as horrible as, we kind of look at the win-loss record, but their defense is not that horrible against the run, and sometimes it's good against everything, says Josh Allen, right? So I get it. I want to, again, chase volume. Pretty sure you get it. Deontay Johnson's good volume, too, especially with Ben Roethlisberger expected back. Some injuries in the Chargers secondary. So, it's a reasonable thought. And if you're concerned that all of a sudden Trey Sermon's going to come in and, cut into the workload, I get it. There is some uncertainty there, right? I'm fairly certain that they don't like Trey Sermon as much as they did when they drafted him in San Francisco. But also, Deontay Johnson gets a super solid workload, especially when Ben in there. So, I'm playing Jeff Wilson myself, but get the question, Martin. Ivan, Superflex League. Rodgers is QB1. Who should I start from Mayfield? Oh my goodness. I'd probably play Mayfield and with Simeon next. In that, and Taylor, man, it's just hard. That offense has been horrible, right? So, I'm just hoping he can do enough to keep Brandon Cook afloat. Michael Berry, how are you? Needing 2 wide receivers and a flex. So 3 players out of Rashad Bateman, Kadarius Toney, Terry McLaurin, Brandon Ayuk, Dalton Schultz, Alex Collins. So probably playing Collins. Again, chasing the anticipated volume. I get it. There is a split there as well. He seems to be the front man of that committee. Chris Carson, in case you didn't hear, will not return this season. Sad trombone. Bum, bum, bum. And so he'll have neck surgery and be done for the year. So Collins is still the lead guy. There's talk about Rashad Penny. Pete Carroll said it. Pete Carroll, eternally optimistic, thinks Penny is ready to have a big role. We haven't seen it, right? So Collins would be the lead guy, and they want to run the ball more to take some pressure off. Terry McLaurin would be next for me, and probably Toney would be. Yeah, McLaurin and Toney would be the 2 wide receivers I play. I like Bateman. I think he's, looks like a rising talent and a lot to like about him. But and maybe this is a different conversation if Marquise Brown is ruled out, and I think there's a little more volume coming his way. But Toney is such a huge playmaking threat. I'd be hard pressed to keep him out of a lineup, thinking he's healthy for this game, because he is. And Dennis Brown has to start 2 wide receivers. One is Thielen. And he has to pick number 2 out of Jacoby Myers, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Claypool, or Toney. Yeah. So Toney for me is a swing for the Pence play. Probably Claypool is the safe play. I know we've said that about Jacoby Myers, and I think he probably still is. But it seems like, I always considered him a solid floor play. And it seems like the floor is getting lower. Love the touchdown. Congratulations to you, Jacoby Myers. That was great. But yeah, I'm probably going to go a different direction there. And Toney would be the play for me. Dominic Conti again, flex, full PPR, Toney or Pollard. Oh, man. I'm probably still playing Toney in this one. I think Pollard is a totally viable play. Not just this week, but pretty much every week right now. It seems like Zeke's a little beat up. So, look, I don't expect Zeke to, take a back seat to him or anything, but I think Pollard's a viable flex play any given week. But I'm playing Tony. I want to play that upside, and I think he's probably got some floor too, as long as he stays on the field. If you're concerned that he's going to get snapped like if aggravated injury or whatever, I get that too. Pollard would be fine, but I'm playing Tony. Jeff Wilson or Mark Ingram in the flex. I'm going to probably go Ingram. I have a little more confidence. This is a hair splitter, right? So I have a little more confidence that he's going to command the entire workload. I think Wilson will, right? But I know Ingram will, barring an injury. And he's got some receiving equity as well. So Ingram, easy call for me on that one. Started Myers on Thursday and it was swing and a miss. Yes, it can be, man. Again, early in the season, he just seemed like a really solid, high target guy who would, get you that mid-range. Probably wouldn't hit double digits every week, but you get your turns. You'd at least get opportunities, and sometimes that's all I'm looking for. In this case, it seems like that floor has been lowering a little bit. That's been my issue. Pollard or Devin Singletary? Probably playing Pollard given the matchups. They're kind of similar guys. Hi, Steve. All is well in a PPR Superflex league. Would I start Mixon over Wentz? Really is a tough matchup for Wentz. I would split it up like that. I'm reluctant to play non-quarterbacks in super flexes, but this is a really tough matchup, and I'm not high on Wentz this week. It's a tough call, man. All you need is a couple big plays from him, right? And he's capable of making them. He's got some good playmakers. Jonathan Taylor could take a pass to the house at any given time. Can you play both of them somehow? I mean, would Mixon not be in your lineup at all? Steve, if that's the case, then maybe I would play him and sit Wentz. And I would go Pittman over Mooney, and maybe that helps you decide if you want to pivot away from Wentz because you're still getting a piece of him. I'm fine with that as well. It's hard for me to sit quarterback in Superflex league. I feel like I'm at a disadvantage. Anthony Vanderborn, first time on YouTube channel. Thank you. I appreciate you coming. 90s hardcore. There you go. Hey, a little converge. Look at you, man. Working it. Appreciate that. Yeah, we'll have to work on that. Thanks for coming to the channel. By the way, if you're new to this channel, I do this every Saturday at noon. We have other videos here on the channel as well. Our Wednesday night DFS lineup show with Jason Brady and Jamie Calandro. We have a Sunday pregame show. John Lobb's line of scrimmage cash game show Saturday nights, usually 7 p.m. Me every Saturday at noon, sitting here answering questions. Also, all these are linked to at the website as well as here on the YouTube page. But hit the subscribe button. I appreciate that. And hit the like button. It makes the algorithm like me more. And I can't be liked enough. So I'm told. And also go to footballdiehards.com. Tons of information, great columns, things there. I'll recount that before we sign off today. So back to the questions. And thanks again for coming, Anthony. Really appreciate you. Kevin O'Brien, good morning, you say. Good morning to you, sir. Still morning here where I am, too. Full PPR, best two flexes between Marquise Brown, Mark Ingram, Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin. I'm going with the running backs. I think, if you feel like you're taking your chances a little bit with Gibson and that it could change week to week, because I think it could, and I don't want to just be chasing last week's total, I love Marquise Brown pretty much every dang week. And Ingram's been a little up and down as well, or McLaurin's been a little up and down. But for me, the two running backs. Steve Linder, PPR League, Dallas Goedert or Freiermuth. That's close. I'm not a big fan of the matchup for Goddard this week. I'm going to check the rankings. I don't always do this. The rankings like Freiermuth, I'll take him too. Big Ben coming back, I'll do that. I'll do that as well. And finally, Steelers D, or when you pick up the Eagles. Steelers D is pretty beat up, right? I might pick up the Eagles. And, assuming you can, stream easily going forward, that's not bad. Marvin Jones or Deontay Harris, probably going to play Marvin Jones and hope for the best. San Francisco secondary is pretty beat up. I don't know that guarantees anything. It has not been good for the Jaguars offense, right? Just hasn't. So I get it. I'm still going that way. Deontay Harris has been pretty serviceable, right? I mean, he's been leading that team in receiving. I still like Callaway better than him. Let's see. Let's just look at the rankings, how far apart they are. Yeah. I'm going to stick with Marvin Jones on this one. All right. And part of that is pecking order, Jesse. So, I mean, if you have a hunch on Deontay Harris, he's not a bad play. At some point, remember, Deontay Harris just got, he's been dealing with a DUI all off season, and, finally that got some resolution. The league could suspend him at some point. It's not going to be for this game, obviously. So feel free to play him, but watch that going forward. It could happen at some point. Hi, Jason Tom. Thank you. 12-team PPR. Should I send Deontay Johnson and receive Pittman and Madison? You have Cook. Yeah, I'd do that. I think that's pretty solid. I like Deontay Johnson better than I like Pittman, but I like Pittman a fair amount, and Madison would give you that insurance policy that would be really nice down the stretch. Dusty, full point PPR. By the way, I have to go back and remember your question, Dusty. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't think the PPR really changed my thoughts there. I think you got it. All right, full PPR, best two flex, Brandon Cooks, Mike Evans, Mark Ingram, Jeff Wilson. Mark Ingram for me for sure. I probably would still play Evans in this one, just such a scoring threat. And, James Bradbury hasn't quite been, his old self. I'd love to play Cooks. I think he's super high end. I like Wilson too, but again, the issues there, I'm not as certain about the workload. I expect him, the times we've seen Jeff Wilson really excel, or come in and take over. He looks like every other 49ers back you see, right? He looks entirely the same. Even there were times last year where it was hard for me, and I had to really look at the number to tell him apart from Raheem Mostert when both of them were rolling. So I'm fine playing him. I just, if you're a little concerned about the workload, I think either of those wide receivers are fine as well. Mark Ingram for sure. I'm more confident, Kevin, in Ingram's workload, and Wilson could very well. So if you're, feeling pretty solid about the Jeff Wilson workload, you think he's going to get that full, the full treatment, and they don't trust Trey Sermon, he would be the play. Anthony, full PPR. I need a flex and a running back, DJ Moore and Brandon Cooks, James Robinson, Jeff Wilson Jr. Oi. I'm probably going with the running backs here as well. I have some hope for DJ Moore, just a more dangerous offense in general, hopefully with Cam Newton. And maybe I'm putting too much on Cam. Maybe my expectations are too high. I think this is a great matchup. And I think DJ Moore maybe suits Cam's, look, when was the last time we saw Cam throw the deep ball? I remember week 2 against Seattle last year when he was with New England. It was pretty good. But other than that, it's been like 4 years since I've seen him throw a reasonable deep ball. So DJ Moore, though, fits that. He's more, he's basically a running back playing wide receiver, a guy that's got run after the catch ability. So I'm okay playing that, but I think you have, the only concern here is Robinson ready to handle a real workload? The 49ers can be run against and thrown against, actually. So I'm probably looking to play the running backs in that one game. If you're afraid to play everybody in that one game, DJ Moore would be my second choice until we see something from this offense more consistent in Houston. I think there's, more hope, obviously, for these pieces in Houston. And by pieces, I mean piece, because it is Brandon Cooks, right? With Taylor in there than I did with Davis Mills. So, it's hard to imagine it continuing to be as horrible as it was. And if you look back to the first 2 weeks, I think they scored close to 60 points, 58 points over the first 2 games with Taylor playing mostly. So there's hope there, but I'm playing the running backs, Anthony. Full PPR, best tight end this week, Mark Andrews or Mckissick. Man, it's hard to sit there and say that anybody playing the Jets is not the best of anything. They've given up 175 points over the last 4 games. That is a historic rate, the second most in the modern era. I'm probably still leaning Andrews on this one. And Gesicki's coming off a poor week, so I'm kind of throwing that one out. But man, this is a great matchup. I'm tempted. It's close enough. Don't let me talk you out of Gesicki if you're going that way. I'm playing Andrews, though, because I'm all in on Andrews. I'm in the tank for Andrews, maybe. It's a great play. 2 great choices, Kevin. And if you look at your lineup and you look at your opponent's lineup and you feel like maybe I want to swing for the fence a little bit, maybe Gesicki in that matchup is a swing for the fence. This could be a get-right game for him. So not against it. Gallup or Renfro in the flex, PPR, probably playing Renfro in the flex right now. I do like Gallup this week, obviously, for the obvious reasons. He's, rises up the ranks a little bit, and he's a very good player. Just want to double-check my rankings on Renfro here and make sure, I like Renfrow better. Man, Renfrow, again, I said it, a little earlier in this chat here is, he's the Raiders wide receiver to have if you have to have one. And then Derek Carr's been playing well. So I'm going with that. A Tavern. Hey, Bob. PPR. Am I crazy to consider Jeff Wilson over Barkley considering the matchups? You're not crazy. The thing, so number one, you might be dealing with a questionable designation. He's been limited all week. We'll know later today. They take the designation off Barkley. I'm not against playing him. He has something in the some equity in the receiving game. There's talk that Devante Booker will, also have a role, even alongside him. Booker also dealing with a hip injury this week, so maybe they're both questionable. So yeah, not crazy would be the answer. Happy holidays. Thanks, Donnie. Good to see you, man. Andrea, Christian Kirk or Michael Gallup, PPR. I play Gallup, Andrea, in that one. Want a piece of that Dallas offense. Don't know what the quarterback's going to look like yet for Arizona. I think it's going to be Kyler Murray. But I don't know. It's going to be Kyler Murray. And I get it. It's a great matchup. No DeAndre Hopkins. So there's a lot of things to like there about that. But I'm probably still going to go Michael Gallup. It's the Chiefs. Against the Chiefs. Iron Eddie. Hello, Iron Eddie. Half-point PPR. Pittman, Gallup, Jeff Wilson. It's not crazy to sit Pittman in a tough matchup. Tre'Davious White is daunting. I like Gaskin starting this week. I'd probably play Jeff Wilson Jr. in this case. Gallup would be my next choice. Tony Jones back this week for the Saints. Has he been? I don't know if he's officially been reinstated. I know he's designated to return. I have not seen that the official designation. Watch that at 4 p.m. Let me just double check that. I usually know these things off the top of my head. But my feeling is he's just been designated. Yeah, he's been designated. He did return to practice Wednesday, but watch at 4 p.m. Eastern time on the footballdiehards.com website. By the way, tons of great stuff there on that website. You should go there anyway. But also in the late breaking update section and the staff rankings, like kind of a one-stop shop to find out what's going on with players. Rank many players at each position, but there's also a link to any new articles that might be relevant to the situation, whether it's for Ingram or it's Tony Jones would be. But I don't know that I think Tony Jones would be a big feature, Donnie, this week in his first week back. Guillotine League, PPR, McKissick or Pollard? I think Pollard is the safer play, not knowing how the game script's going to go for Washington, right? So, if they're playing from behind, great. It's going to be a fair amount more McKissick. If they're playing from ahead, we saw it last week. It would, apparently Antonio Gibson can handle a pretty strong workload. So Pollard, I think, is for me. Iron Eddie, TD League, moves aren't free. Pick up and play Mooney or stick with Pittman. I'd stick with Pittman if moves aren't free. I'm not sure, Mooney is the piece of that receiving core to have in Chicago. I don't know that I need to have a piece of that going forward. So if it's going to be a limiting move and hard to get Pittman back or something, I wouldn't let go of that. So Paul, I'm going to play Freiermuth in this one. I like Dawson Knox. He was a top 5 play when he got hurt. We haven't seen him back to that level yet. I could wait until he gets back to that level if my choice was Freiermuth. What is Gronk's status for Monday night? And do you like Mark Ingram or Jeff Wilson as my flex in the standard scoring league? So Gronk's status, the arrow is pointing up, according to Gronk and Bruce Arians. He's been practicing fully. My guess is he'll play. You'll want to watch. If there's a questionable designation, that's always a little worrisome to me going into a Monday night if you don't have a fallback plan. So if you don't have a fallback plan and your fallback plan plays on Sunday and it's a reasonable fallback plan, I'd play that. But if Gronk's off the injury report, go ahead. He scores a lot of touchdowns, so be surprised to learn. Do I like Mark Ingram or Jeff Wilson as the flex in a standard scoring league? I probably like Mark Ingram a little better. Again, I think Jeff Wilson's going to be fine. I expect him to have the bulk of the workload. Just haven't seen him first, would be his first full game. And maybe that's a concern for you. Mark Ingram coming off a heavy usage game. If that's a concern, it's not unreasonable. He's getting up there in years. He's not as old as me, but he's close. No, he's not. That's a lie. I'm still going Ingram. Willie. Need a flex between Jeff Wilson, DJ Moore, or Devante Smith. Probably playing Jeff Wilson in that case. look, Devante Smith's been playing super high-end football. The last 2 games, he's been almost unstoppable. And Marshawn Lattimore has been beatable this year, although he still has Marshawn Lattimore moments. So Bruce Arians says Antonio Brown is the only player ruled out. So it looks like Gronk is not on the injury report. Let me just double check that, see if I'm getting all the information here. A couple guys will be game time decisions. She's not saying which guys, so I'll watch for that while we're talking. I'm guessing none of them will be Gronk. I'm a little interested in Chris Godwin. He was limited as well, so we'll see. So Jeff Wilson, DJ Moore, Devante Smith. Again, like Smith an awful lot, so the order for me would be Wilson, Smith, and Moore. I'm keen to see what Moore looks like. And look at Donnie. So you should listen to Donnie. He makes a lot of money in DF in high stakes leagues, so he probably knows better than me. Full PPR: Corey Davis or Alex Collins or Miles Sanders if he happens to play. Boy, that's a tough call. I mean, I haven't been impressed with Collins. I like the workload. So Sanders, I'm a little worried. Would it be a 3-way split? Would they give him the full workload? Saints defense is a very tough matchup. Also a matchup that he bested. I mean, he and Jalen Hurts, last year was Jalen Hurts' first start was against the Saints, and both of them ran for 100 yards. The first guys in like 16 games dating back to the year before and nobody had run for 100 yards. And so would like a piece of Miles Sanders if this is the way the offense looks. So I'd watch that. If Sanders is up, he'd be the guy I'd play. If he's not up, I'll probably go Collins over Corey Davis. I don't know what Joe Flacco's capable of. Honestly, they're going to be playing from behind because they always play from behind. So, Flacco has a big arm. Maybe it plays into Corey Davis' strength. I think you're taking your chances there. I'd probably go Collins. And also, I think you're taking your chances there. I'd be hoping Miles Sanders goes. Need 2 wide receivers in a PPR between Elijah Moore, Devonta Smith, and Claypool. Well, Donnie has a hunch. So I'm probably playing Smith and Claypool in this one. And I do think Elijah Moore is a player on the rise. He's keeping up with Michael Carter, 2 exciting young rookies. Michael Carter's been a top 5 back the last 2 weeks. So there's that. But Moore is not getting, there's still Jamison Crowder in the mix. There's still Corey Davis in the mix. I'd probably play the other 2 myself. Agnew or Traquan Smith, 1-point PPR. I mean, Traquan Smith seemed to be coming on a little bit. I'd like to think he can continue coming on a little bit, but Agnew seems like he has a say. So Agnew's getting targeted a heck of a lot more in general, right, on a weekly basis. I just put an article up today about all the drops he's had, and they're concerned about, drops in general for Jacksonville. But Agnew has a lot of speed, a lot of big playability. This is a close one, Ivan. Kind of depends. I'd probably play an Agnew. I'm going to have to check the rankings on this just because I'm going to play Agnew on this one. You're fine, Dottie. Chat away, man. I appreciate your input, brother. Scott Kobe needs 4 of these in PPR. Thielen, Chase, Fournette, Gallup, and Metcalf. Good afternoon. How are you, Scott? If I told you to sit Chase, would you? I think I would be like malpractice on my part. I'm probably not sitting Chase, Jamar Chase right now. I know, hasn't been as high end as early in the season. So Thielen, Chase, I like Fournette, and I'd probably stick with Metcalf over Gallup. And bye, Donnie. It's great seeing you. What a weirdo. Okay. So I'd probably say Gallup. I do like him, but I mean, all these options look greater. I know it's been hit or miss with Metcalf, Scott. So if you're concerned that the offense just isn't up to speed, I get it. I'm probably still going to take my chances. I think you've obviously got great guys ahead of him. Full point PPR, I trade Collins and Boyd, and I get Brandon Cooks. You like that trade for me? I trade Collins and Boyd, and I get Brandon Cooks. It's not horrible. I mean, I don't know what Collins is going forward. Will we ever see Rashad Penny? Boyd's kind of a low-end commodity. I'd like to see this offense in Houston play better under Tyrod Taylor at some point. I mean, I guess I'd roll the dice on that. Jeff Clark, PPR, Waller or Kittle? I think the answer to the second one is yes for me. I'd want to get both those guys in my lineup this week. We rank them 2 and 3 at the tight end position. So yes, drop Ridley and redraft. If you don't have room, if you need to maneuver, yeah, sure. I mean, we don't know when he's going to be back. It could be next week. Could be longer. We saw Lane Johnson from the Eagles come back early. Come back pretty quickly from issues of anxiety, missed a few games, and came back. But honestly, we're just we're in uncharted territory here, and we don't have a lot of input, a lot of information. Again, I talked to D'Orlando Ledbetter, who covers the team on a daily basis last Tuesday. He has no idea. I don't even know if the Falcons know. So we do know that he's on the non-football injury list, through this week, and then next week we'll see what happens. But yeah, if you feel like you need to make a move, I don't know why you wouldn't drop him. It wasn't like it was super high end before he left, and it turns out that offense is not that great, except for Cordero Patterson. Well, thank you, Anthony. I hope you all have a good time as well. Hey, yes, and congratulations. Scott pulled down a big money prize last week, so kudos to you, Scott. Great high stakes player there, Scott Kobe, along with Donnie, another great high stakes player. What is Antonio Brown's status for Monday night? I believe I just came through my phone that he is the only player ruled out. There was really no expectation that he would. Just want to double check and make sure I didn't read that wrong. Bruce Arian says Antonio Brown is the only player ruled out. So there we have it. Let me see if there's any other news on who the questionable guys are. Anyway, all right. 12-15 question. Put it back in, Kevin, because I can't, I could scroll back up, but it's hard to find. So if you wouldn't mind, I apologize for missing it. If you could just retype it, and I'll hit it as I'm going down the scroll. 1 point PPR, 1 running back, 1 flex. Please pick 2: Antonio Gibson, Deontay Foreman, Alex Collins, Zach Moss. So Antonio Gibson for sure. I'm kind of thinking maybe Foreman. For me, it's probably between Moss and Foreman. Foreman seems to be a guy that's coming on. Maybe he's more of a down the stretch play. He's been better than Peterson. He knows the offense better. There is no Jeremy McNichols this week, so either way, even if he's still splitting, it's less of a timeshare. So I might like him in the order you have him, actually, but except for Moss ahead of Collins. I just I don't feel good about the Seattle offense in general. And every time I say that, Collins grinds out a good game. He did it against Pittsburgh, right? So he makes me look like a fool every time. So maybe the order you have them is solid enough. I keep hearing, again, I was just writing something this morning about Pete Carroll talking. He wants more Rashad Penny. And every time I hear him say that, I forget it's Pete Carroll. And he just spouts nonsense of what his hopes are without really any reason to believe them. And I'm saying that more in a meaner way than I should. He's very optimistic as Pete Carroll. Slightly overly optimistic. Kevin O'Brien, Bateman, Mooney, McLaurin. I hope that's a repeat of your question that I missed. But if not, I see you got a couple here. So if not, repeat that question. You need half-point PPR, best wide receiver, Bateman, Mooney, or McLaurin. I'm probably going McLaurin and hoping it's an on week for him. I like Rashad Bateman. I'd probably take him next. And Mooney, I mean, he's been serviceable, right? But it's just that offense. I don't have a high expectations. Probably playing Jeff Wilson over Daryl Williams if Clyde Edwards-Helaire comes back. If not, I'm probably sticking with Williams. Buzz on Kyler Murray and Miles Sanders. It's optimistic for Murray. Seems like, the big concern in the back of my mind on Murray is the fact they have a bye next week, right? So, but Colt McCoy is also beat up. Not 100% sure he'll be available, although it seems like he's trending in the right direction as well. Cardinals clearly playing the long game here, as evidenced by the 2 absences. So my feeling is he's going to play. And it's a great matchup if he does, but he's going to have to prove his mobility. On Sanders, I don't have a good read on it, right? You haven't heard much from practice other than he's designated to return. I actually went out and looked for things last night just to see where it stood. And nobody seems to be taking a real hard stand with it, but I think he does have a chance to come back. You'll know by 4 p.m. Eastern time today if he'll play this week. Roy Millen has a question. Pittman or Corey Davis? Probably still playing Pittman, and even in a super tough matchup. Wouldn't talk you out of Davis. Don't know what my expectations are for the Jets offense in general, other than that they'll be playing from behind and need to throw the ball a lot. And Joe Flacco has a big arm, so there's that. What I'm worried about Pittman is the same thing you are. It's a tough matchup. Damian Williams downgraded to doubtful. All right, that's fine. Damian Williams came off the injury report and then just downgraded to doubtful for the Bears. So I'm probably still leaning Pittman over Davis, just, going for the piece and the better offense. But I think if you have a hunch, I wouldn't talk you out of Corey Davis in this one. I don't like the matchup any more than you do, Roy. And his standard scoring, probably still would prefer Pittman a little bit, but again, point remains the same. Bonus points league. Need one out of Daryl Williams, CEH, and Jeff Wilson. Play the guy that's not dividing the touches at the moment, which would be Jeff Wilson, and that's assuming Elijah Mitchell is out. I would expect him to be his, doubtful designation, right? We just don't have a feel. I mean, if you feel like, what the plan is, if CEH is back, if they're going to ramp him up or Williams is going to play a primary role, I mean, they're not going to advertise this, and so I'd just rather avoid the situation if I can and see how it plays out. I do think it makes sense to slow roll CEH, if you're the Chiefs coming back, and you would still see a fair amount of Williams, and he's been pretty serviceable. But honestly, I mean, if you're looking at this just as things stand and there is no Mitchell, it seems to me Jeff Wilson is the frontline guy. I know Trey Sermon is still there. They don't seem to trust him as much as the Chiefs trust both those running backs. JM offered Russ and Devante, Russell Williams, I guess, for Cam and Devonta. Oy. Sure, I'd do that. You're on the Russ Devontae side? Yeah, I'd absolutely do that. Because absolutely. Wouldn't even hesitate. Huge upgrade, Devante over Devonta. Brian M., good morning. For flex, 1 point PPR, Devontae Smith, wide receiver versus Deontay Foreman, running back. I'd probably play Smith even in a super tough matchup. Again, I like Foreman. I think he might be the guy to play in this backfield. And, ideally, they're a run-heavy approach. It would make sense, again, to be this week. But, it's him and it's a split. Devontae Smith, I don't feel like we're chasing something. It's kind of been a little bit of a trend here. Especially the last 2 weeks, he's been super high end. And if, again, I mentioned earlier, Marshawn Lattimore has been, he's great. He has a long history of greatness. There's been times he hasn't been as great this season. Scott, I hope you heard what I said before, but, I could still play Daryl Williams. I think maybe just lower expectations down to flex level from, certainly from RB2 or hope for RB, high end RB2 with a touchdown. Thanks, Ivan. Have a great weekend, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Brock Goose, Godwin, Deontay, Terry, Dillon, Monty. Brady is my quarterback. Well, I'm playing A.J. Dillon, and I'm probably playing David Montgomery. I mean, I'm not feeling – I don't love the matchup, the Ravens. And honestly, man, when you're putting in a list of names like that, Monty is kind of obvious, but, help me out with the full names. Or at least a little more than half the name. That'd be better. Godwin, I don't know that he's one of the questionable. There's going to be a couple questionable guys. Let me see if that's something more has come through on this, because something more has. Brown has a real chance to return next week. Okay. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure Godwin's going to play. And I love Deontay, but I think I play the two running backs just for opportunities, Brock. And even, I wrote about it in my DFS 3 and Out column. It's on the footballdiehards.com website. You should check it out whenever you get a chance, everybody. I'm not, the Ravens are kind of a tough run matchup again. They're not great, but they've been pretty good the last couple of weeks against some pretty good running backs. Dalvin Cook being one, and he still got into double digits. So, So yeah, I would play the 2 running backs. Last question from A Tavern. Last question. 5.5 Dynasty PPR have Chase and Jefferson as top 2. That's a good place to be. But Lost Woods is wide receiver 3. Can Mooney, Fuller, Agnew be a viable replacement, or should I try to move Damian Harris? No, I think any of those guys. I mean, given the high end the upside you have with your top 2, I think, probably in the order. I don't know about Fuller because I don't know when he's coming back. So I think Mooney or Agnew could be viable. I mean, Agnew is at least drawing targets. Marcus Johnson to Jamison Crowder and Cedric Wilson worth a flyer this week in a shootout. Yes, he is worth a flyer. He will be the wide receiver 3. Marcus Johnson, it's been kind of one game. Crowder seems like he has a higher floor. Maybe Marcus Johnson if you're, taking a total swing for the fence play. Dynasty PPR, do I trade away Jalen Waddle for Rashad Bateman in a 2022 second? I'd probably hang on to Waddle. I like Bateman. I think it's a fair deal. That'd work. Yes. Yeah, JM, that's what I thought it was, and I'd totally do that. This minute, Devante Smith. Oh, I thought it was Devonta Freeman. My bad. Probably not doing that one. Just in general, wide receivers are, hold their value better longer. So I love Javonte Williams. I think maybe next year he takes over that lead role, but it's not guaranteed, right? Devontae Smith is wide receiver 1. And if I had doubts about him coming into the season based on his slight build, etc., he's gone a long way to alleviating my concerns the last 2 weeks for sure. And we'll see what the quarterback play ends up there. I don't know if it's going to end up being Jalen Hurts over the long term or not. But either way, it's been great. We've seen what the upside can be. So I'm probably not doing that one. Probably not doing that one. I mean, I think the quarterbacks are kind of, you're getting an upgraded quarterback for sure. Yeah, I'm not doing it. If Kyler plays, Kyler or Burrow? Burrow. Just seems safer, right? Guy's healthy. One guy's not daunting matchups, in particular. So for either of them. Jeff Clark, PPR, Elijah Moore, Galloway, DJ Moore for wide receiver 3. Galloway, I think you mean Galladay. There it is. Yes. Probably playing DJ Moore from that bunch. I'm hoping that I mentioned this earlier, but I'm hoping with Cam Newton, just his offense in general gets a little better. It's not unreasonable to expect just the threat he poses as a runner, along with Christian McCaffrey, opening the way up for a little more running lanes out in the open field for DJ Moore, who's a great open field runner and run after the catch guy. So that's what I do. Do I think the Chargers offense can explode this week with all the Steelers injuries? I think that's very helpful. You got Watt out, you've got Hayden out, you've got Minkah Fitzpatrick out. I think somebody else is out too. So yes, I think that's probably a time I think that would be, this is a good opportunity for the Chargers to rebound. I'll be watching eagerly to see how it plays out. Okay, last detail. Hurt is my QB1 now. Yeah, so yeah, I'd remember that from before. Look, if you think you need Russell Wilson, this is a fair deal, right? It's not an unfair deal. I'm just, trying to play the long game. And if you have a quarterback you like better, I mean, Russell Wilson's going to be a fine quarterback. Sounds like you want to do it, so do it if you'd like. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. I mean, either way, it's a fair deal. I'm just, my preference would be, to invest in the longer term at wide receiver. So if that's not your preference, it's totally understandable. All right, got a little more time here. If you have not been to the website that is called footballdiehards.com, go there. Great stuff there waiting for you right now, including Casey Joyner's Saturday sit-start injury report. Goes a little more in depth on the injuries. Take a look at players maybe you could pivot to, flex to, switch to, or into or out of based on the situation, not just the skill player injuries, but the defensive injuries, offensive line injuries. Brad Cruz's sit start is available as well. If you play the DFS, we have the scholar sheet of DraftKings knowledge, Jamie Calandro's best GPP tournament stacks and his best DraftKings cash plays. We have my DFS tournament 3 and out. Justin Linero's digging in the DFS crates. All great stuff. Gary Davenport's The Shadow Knows and IDP tip sheet are also up. If you show up early in the week, you get some great content as well from all our waiver wire experts. Evan Tarciano, the waiver wire wizard. Joe Kalana gives the early look, the injury overview from the week before, and maybe potential players to watch. He does that on Monday, updates it on Tuesday, and also Matthew Sharon with the Dollar Store free agents. And, of course, Reginald James. Great commissioner stuff. I've been reading this, and it's fantastic. Some interesting topics that he brings up. And if you're running a league, it's very helpful as well. Also, tons of video content. Again, we'll have our Wednesday night DFS lineup show. You can watch the replays of these after we do them. You can watch a replay of this after we do it. We have the Line of Scrimmage Cash Game show with John Lobb and Ewan Cadlick tonight. The pregame show Sunday morning as well. And tons more content going up. It's a constant stream of late-breaking news and updates there as well. So check that out and get in on it. Mixon or Montgomery at running back. Full PPR. Kevin, I play Mixon this week. Do I think Brady has a smash night on Monday night that all the Brady owners want against the Giants? Yes. I want to think that, right? I think we all want to think that. It's a good matchup. Should have sufficient weaponry. Like I'm assuming Chris Godwin will be there and good to go. Mike Evans, it's not the best matchup for him, but not it's totally beatable. So yes, I do think he will. Hopefully Gronk is back as well. Keep up the good work. Thanks, JM. Hey, JR. Thank you. I appreciate it. Enjoy the hike. And yes, he's listening to the Thursday's Diehards show on his headphones. And thanks, Califoscar. I appreciate that. Have a good weekend. If you listen to the SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio or NFL Radio, I am on Monday nights at 10, Thursday nights at 10 with Mike Dempsey. Every other Tuesday, I do the Fantasy Dirt Show with Michael Fabiano. On Saturdays, if you're listening to this early Saturday in the afternoon or you're watching this live, Saturday night, we do 5 to 7 p.m. on the Fantasy Channel, Dempsey and myself. Then we jump over to NFL Radio for another 3 hours. We'll have some great guests tonight. Cynthia Freeland from NFL Network will be on with us on NFL Radio, along with Jamie Calandro from Football Diehards. Kyle Dvorak from NBC Sports Edge will be on with us in the Fantasy Channel as well. So get your calls in. If you didn't get your questions answered here, call in there. And always love having you. And check me out on the pregame show also tomorrow with Jeff Manns on the SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio channel. Plenty of stuff going on. Also go to the Football Diehards website. Use the promo code Diehards if you're not a subscriber to get a discount. I believe that's a prorated price as well. Scott wants to know if I had the Patriots defense, would that change your flex decisions going to floor players and high upside players? I'm up 30 right now. If I had the Patriots defense, I mean, that's all, you've already got a huge edge, right? So yes, I would, it would be a hair splitter, right? Scott, I mean, I think you know this. I mean, if I'm sitting there and I'm deciding between two guys that are close and I'm saying, wow, this guy has like a really solid floor. I've already got 30 points. I'm looking at my opponent's lineup. I don't see anything that, that I'm going to need to like really make up some huge point differential or swing for the fence. Yeah, I'd probably play the safer plays in that case. And if you play the Patriots defense, man, what an advantage to go into the week with your defense having scored, 28, 30 points, right? So that'd be great stuff. Thank you, Oscar. I think that's a combination of words that I don't know all of them are, but I'm guessing your name is Oscar. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. Got a few more minutes if you have a few more questions. If not, I'll just remind you there's some news out there that you need to know. The latest news is it looks like Antonio Brown is ruled out as we expected. I'm just double checking to see if there's anyone else has been added to this that I need to know of, if Chris Godwin has an issue. So no, nothing there. Great. So as you all probably know, Alvin Kamara is out. Eli Mitchell's almost certainly not going to play. List is doubtful. Amari Cooper's not going to play. He's been ruled out due to COVID. Seems like Aaron Jones won't play this week as well. A.J. Dillon, a couple top 20 weeks already. He's locked in. Expect the top 10 performance from him. Who else is some of the guys we're watching? Nick Chubb is back. Returned to practice, cleared from COVID, will start and play. Kyler Murray, pretty iffy. Ben Roethlisberger will play this week. So you got that going for you if you are invested in the Deontay Johnsons, et cetera, of the world, or Chase Claypools, as many of you are. All right, everybody. I think we've run out of questions. I appreciate everyone coming. Again, we do this every week, Saturday at noon. There's information. Saquon Barkley is listed as questionable, it turns out, for Monday night. So we'll see who else joins him on that list. Just kidding. Is Lamb the Dallas slot receiver for Dallas, or is it Wilson? I think they'll switch him around, Scott. I think it'll depend. Hawkinson or Pollard? I'd be fine playing Pollard this week. I'm not dialing back on Hawkinson all the way, but obviously, it's not a good offense. There's a quarterback we have total unknown there. I might go for the more known commodity. In this case, it would be Pollard. And, not just because it was just a one target, 0 catch week last week. I mean, it's generally been good for Hawkinson. It's just more the uncertainty, right? And the ups and downs. Going back to your question, Scott, and maybe with Cooper out, that changes the dynamic a little bit. Maybe we see more Lamb outside, but he works, they line him up in various spots. And Wilson as well. All right, seeing if anything else is going on. Double checking who else is questionable, and the questionable designation thing here is probably, I'm guessing, Shepard is ruled out. Yes, Sterling Shepard ruled out. Devante Booker is also questionable. So both running backs are questionable. My guess is they'll both play. Hawkinson or Gesicki? I'd play Gesicki this week. I don't know if I landed any of my guys. I have to go check. I have to go check my lineups this week. I'll tell you who I was aiming for. I was trying to get Cam Newton. I don't think I got any Cam Newton. I think he's going to have a solid week this week. Running backs. I don't know that I landed anybody. If people dropped Jamal Williams, I might have been in on that. I wasn't chasing. Deontay Foreman, I made some claims on and don't know if I got him yet. I got to go back and reset all my lineups, so I only have 29 of them. Wide receivers, I don't think I made any moves because I wasn't chasing any guys. So there you have that. So again, I'll go ahead and sign off now. Again, Jeremy, that last question, it was Gesicki. So thank you all very much. Hit the footballdiehards.com website. There'll be plenty going on. Again, subscribe to this channel. I'll be back next Saturday. It's Thanksgiving weekend, and yet I'll still be back next Saturday. And the website will run as usual throughout the holiday weekend, as we always do. This is a 365-day-a-year enterprise. We love it. See you next week. Thanks for coming.